Welcome to On Air at Johnny B. Today we have a very special guest, the incredibly talented Jane Siberry. Jane, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we dive into your incredible music career, I'd love to ask you a couple of fun questions to get to know you better. If you could have,
Okay.
okay, if you could have dinner with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Debussy, because I like the way his music curls around, and I think he would be an interesting person in his speech and thought.
If you weren't a musician, what do you think you would be doing right now?
Oh, I I probably would end up helping animals or something like that.
Animals. What's your
Maybe.
favorite animal?
Oh, right now I'm into bears. I'm on all
Bears.
the webcams for bears.
What's your favorite place to view webcams for bears?
Um,
Like
Kill 'em,
National Zoo?
Kill 'em,
Okay.
KILHAM, bear rescue, and they get these babies, and then they're very upset and shy, and then slowly they get to know their little brothers, their new little brothers and sisters, and watching them progress, and then progress into a big bear. It's amazing. It's There's people on that site. I'm sure it's all of our favorite site. It's just so moving and such a privilege to watch an animal develop.
I'll have to check that out. So
They're
going to
they're
your,
rewilded out. They're sent out into the wilderness as safely as can be after that, so they're not touched or anything.
are they tracked with a track or anything?
Probably.
Awesome. So talking about musical evolution, let's go back to the beginning. Your music career spans several decades, back in the early 80s, and your style has evolved quite a bit over the years. Can you tell us about your early days and how your music has changed from No Borders Here to your latest works?
Um, well, since I was very young, I heard very complex music in my head, which meant I never wrote a song because I could never produce it. So I don't think that has changed, but my ability to manifest it has changed. So not that I'm doing more complex music, but I maybe have more chops to do do what I hear in my head. So how has it changed? Lyrically, I tend to write more directly to people now. I don't really want to waste time saying, "Come here and listen." I want to say like, "Let's talk." I really want to know how you feel, even if I'm just feeling it back from the language of your heart, so to speak. So there's more of a sense of not urgency, but you know, let's not let's not waste time.
Your album "When I Was a Boy" featured collaborations with Brian Eno and Michael Brook. How did these collaborations influence your music?
Really, the collaborations of most import to me are with the fellow musicians, who played, where we worked really closely to get the guitar and the bass and the feel and everything. But if you want to talk about the more well-known people, um, uh, I would say it was just an honor to meet both Brian Eno and Michael Brook, and both of them brought sounds to the recording, which I really love. Like at the beginning of "Sail Across the Water," that's Brian's sound, and which is like a signature sound on the record. I love that sound. Same with Michael Brook on some of the songs, his guitar.
If you could collaborate with anyone today, who would that be?
Probably the musicians I'm currently working with, which is like Rich Brown on bass, Ken Meyer on guitar, um, and vocalists such as Rebecca Jenkins, um, all my friends that I work with, really. I don't have a burning desire to work with anyone else in particular.
Awesome. Your creative process is quite fascinating. Can you walk us through how you approach the songwriting and recording process?
Yes, I can to a certain extent. I used to just only have access to piano and guitar, so I'd write the songs that way. Now I work more from my head, so I actually like to go into the studio and right there, and right from my head into um, rhythms and chord changes and samples and stuff like that. So um, I'll 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 work out the rough music, and I have somewhere in me a sense of what the song will be about, and then it all sort of magnetizes, which I think a lot of musicians do. But it's a wonderful, amazing part of the process.
You've mentioned in previous interviews that you've often started with a feeling or an idea and let that evolve naturally. Can you give us an example of how one of your songs came to be?
Okay. I was looking out of my window in Toronto on Queen Street, which is a busy street at the mental health center across the street. So they had a lot of their clients on the street on drugs in slippers, and I watched them a lot, and it was a real honor to observe life at that microscopic level. And I always felt, God, my worries are so small compared to theirs. They're not even up at zero. They're not even at their baseline. They're functioning like well below a natural baseline. So as I was looking out the window, I was just playing my keyboard and singing. And then I thought, oh, too bad. I wish I'd recorded that. And I turned around and my computer was on and it was recording it. And I don't remember putting it on. So I used that really as the basis for the song, which was the vigil on When I Was a Boy. The structure's the same. The keyboard part is what I played. So that's one way of writing. And I was watching someone below on the street who I knew who just walks along saying, "It's terrible. It's terrible." And the sound of his voice, carried something that I can't reproduce. But anyway, that's one way.
What's the most unusual place that you have found inspiration for a song?
Um, I don't know about unusual. What have other artists said?
I mean, some people they're in like coffee shops or they're at the playground. Or you mentioned staring across the street or a street corner. Are there other places that just gives you inspiration?
Oh yeah, everywhere, everywhere. Sometimes it's just you know walking along and you observe the tilt of someone's head, and it says speaks volumes or something. So vulnerable in how they're looking at something, or yeah, it's everywhere. I don't think any of these places are unusual. Um, but I remember being at an intersection in Toronto and looking up at the end corridors of a hospital, the Grace Hospital, famous in Toronto, and at the top floor was someone standing there looking out, and it's a terminal hospital. Um, and from that tilt came a song called Grace Hospital, where someone's looking up, the windshield wipers are, going, it's raining, they're really upset, they're furious at the world, and they're looking up at someone else who maybe is furious at the world, and then they step on their gas and start going down this street and causing problems. That kind of thing, and every time I go by, I'm right there looking at them, and it's funny these things.
Outstanding. Talking about your contributions to The Crow. It's been 30 years since the release of the movie and the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been a long time, and you have a great impact into that film. And how did you become involved with that project with your song It Can't Rain All the Time?
I became involved before the song was written. I
Okay.
was looking to write with me. So Graham Revell, um, in LA, quite well known because he's done a lot of work with film. He reached out to me somehow and wanted to co-write it. So I flew to LA, went to his house, and we worked on the song form. And he mainly had the chorus. Actually, I had the feeling he had really loved the vigil, which I just mentioned, but because of the rhythm um, and so that's why he reached out to me maybe because I think the rest of the song has a similar vibe, but his chorus was it can't rain all the time. No, he wanted it can't rain all the time, and I couldn't get that out of my mouth, so I changed it to it won't rain all the time. And for the rest of the song, I sort of relied on thinking of Brandon a lot, what what he I don't know what he might have wanted to say if this song in fact was connected to him because he died during that film, shooting of that film. So it seemed important.
And the song is such a haunting and beautiful quality. What was your inspiration behind it?
Well, the haunting phenomenon of Brandon being killed by accident in the film, um, and then the sense of hopelessness that so many of us feel, and what he or some spirit might be saying, don't worry, things are going to be okay. And they do come to us in strange ways in dreams where a mother or a lover is saying, you know, has reached across the veil somehow to like, oh my God, I must comfort this person who's still alive and suffering. I think that happens, don't you?
The song does give great hope. Um, Talking about current projects, let's talk about your recent album, Angels Bend Closer. What was the inspiration behind this album, and how is the process of creating it different from your previous works?
Okay, uh, this might be boring to you, but Ulysses Purse is the main album, and then someone took that and remixed it, and it was remixed it, and added three songs and renamed it. I didn't want to be involved, but someone really wanted more people to hear about me, so it was a very kind gesture. But to me, the director's cut is Ulysses Purse. It's got all the silence in it that I love, and
Okay.
much it's quite different. So your question is, how is my last record, Ulysses Purse, um, how is it different than what I'm working on now? Is that your question?
How's it different from the stuff that you worked on previously, years before?
More direct lyrically, more perhaps I don't know if it's that different. It's just like new worlds that were created, sort of filmic and hopefully capturing some of our most beautiful human moments.
Awesome. Tell me about your upcoming projects that you have coming up. I see on your website that you have a lot of pretty good tours coming up, a lot of good shows.
Yeah, I haven't toured since before the pandemic. Um, and at that time I was doing like, I went out for 6 months or something for from big venues to like living rooms all over the world. And that was like amazing. But then I stopped with the pandemic, of course. So I haven't done much playing at all since then, although that's really what I love is playing live. To me, it's like writing a song every night, you with the beautiful energy of the audience. But so I'm more importantly just finishing a new record that I've been working on for 2 years, and it's going to come out one song at a time starting in October, and I think I mean I'm not quite finished, but I think it's solid and trustworthy, and then I will do some touring starting in November, which is great.
Looking forward to hearing it. Uh, what's your favorite place to play live? Your favorite venue?
Um, well, I'm thinking of a backyard in Australia where on the last tour when I was playing a living room, but I played the backyard and I played the first strum on the guitar. And behind me, all these Holstein cows came racing down the hill to the fence, stood there, and they raced. They ran down as fast as they could. Oh my God, it just warms my heart every time I think of that. That was just not singing, wasn't my voice, it was just like the beautiful strum of the guitar. But other places, you might think I'm going to say the biggest places, but probably they were the smallest places, but where the energy in the room was just perfectly met by everybody. or or maybe it was you know, stand standing in front of a door in Dublin in a 21-year-old girl's house. She invited me to do a house concert, and though I didn't think it was quite right, I did it. And they weren't listening, and they'd like get up as if I was a TV and go out in the back, and I'd see them through the window talking to each other and having it's like, oh my God, this is so funny. So finally, when everyone was, I guess, at a certain point, I said, okay, you don't need me here. I I'm not able to offer you anything of value, really, because you're not really present. And so I said, what do you want to hear? And then I guessed. I said, you bet you want to hear sad songs. And they all went, yes, we want sad songs. And so I played all my sad songs. They woke up, they became present. And then I stopped and I said, okay, now you owe me something. I want to sit here and hear what it's like to be in your 20s in this strange day and age. And you can educate me. And that was like a twisty turny song almost the whole thing. And that kind of night was special to me. And probably the worst kind of night was where I played in a city where there's what was government employees, okay. So that sometimes creates makes it hard for people, even the government employees, because like they're in a system that makes them, I don't know, it's wonderful, but I think difficult. And I had trouble. The audience felt like they had had too much dessert or something. And I thought, if every show was like that, I would not be a musician because I would not feel I was able to offer anything. So, is that?
What advice would you give to aspiring musicians who look up to you in your body of work?
Oh, my body. Yeah, thank you. Oh, my body of work.
Yes, ma'am.
I see. I would say stick to your guns, trust yourself because your intuition is your safety line to the greater, to your greater, to the every greater. Um, so if you can cut to the chase a bit faster than me, you'll move forward faster towards your, walking this planet at 100% fullness. I'm not talking about 100% famous, just fullness. And that it's a privilege to be a musician. Don't You might have to get jaded a bit just to learn the lessons, but it's truly a privilege, and it has nothing to do with money. And the best you can offer is what you hear in your head, meaning your heart. That's what I say. That's what I did say. I will say
Beautiful.
it again.
Your upcoming album. What's your process? Not your process. What is your muse for it? What kind of inspirations do you have for this upcoming album? Are you doing more sad songs, happy songs? What kind of songs are going to be in this new album?
Sad, happy. Well, it's inspired by you, people like you, everyone, the everyone. And we all went through a very strange period together in the world, and a lot of observations came from that. For example, when people would say, I'm going to, um, I can hardly wait till things get back to normal. Inside, I'm hearing normal. That is not normal. We are so sick. And then we are so very sick, and we need healing. The whole world needs healing, and when I tour, I see like at 2 in the afternoon when things should flow differently. Everyone's at a standstill in traffic. It's like it's too much. People can't handle this. Something's got to change, and I think the only change will come from like a consciousness, increased awareness of what's there anyway, but just increased consciousness, and that means things like losing judgment. You know, in one song on the record, it's every time we replace "fuck you" with "how can I help you," that kind of thinking, and um, really focusing on loving everything about ourselves, everything about everyone else, loving the difficulty. It's like I know the song called "Love Is Everything," and now I really feel in my heart love everything. So It's songs like that, um, and the release will be one song at a time because I'm doing it independently. It takes quite a while to raise the money, and but with each song, I realize that's fantastic for artists because then you can spend a month on one song, right? And honor it, and everyone think have discussions, and everyone think of their own memories of why, of what they think is normal, that is not normal, all these things. So I guess I'm saying I'm more now about communication and connection and communion, even though I'm a bit more of a spokesperson than others.
You mentioned having your own record label, being independent. Tell me about the challenges that you face going out on your own, rather.
Well, I love it. I love it. I don't like anyone telling me what to do unless I'm asked, unless I it's a mentor or a wise person. But so it suits me well to be independent. Um, I really miss playing with bands, which I can't do because if and for a long time, if I took a band out on the road, I would be making a decision to go into great debt. You know? So I play solo a lot, but it's made me better at solo shows. I think I miss that, but I think it's more honest and more real. I really like, you know, I wish I could record way faster, because I just wait till money comes in or look for jobs or whatever. And then sometimes I've asked for help from others, and that's been really moving from listeners. So, yeah, it's even the things I wish for. I know it's all cool.
Awesome. Jane, it's been absolute pleasure talking with you today. I wanted to thank you for sharing your incredible journey and insights with us. But before we let you go, I wanted to ask you one final question. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, what a good question. Are you a grateful person?
Yes, I am.
Do you practice, like, what would you say to people about how to be more grateful if they're still sleeping?
Oh, what would I say to be more grateful? Just, I don't know, be more aware of your surroundings and be more thankful of what you have around you.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm grateful for if you will tell me what you're grateful
I am grateful for my wife and daughters.
for. Wow, beautiful. Wow. Um, I am grateful to be living in a house with my sister when I'm not up north at my cabin. And I've got to know a sister that I only knew when I was young and to see how she's living life for herself. That's beautiful. I'm grateful to like myself more than I used to. Grateful for my beautiful dog, um, and all the dogs I've had. And to come into contact with so many bright lights, such as yourself. That's amazing.
Well, thank you, Jane, for being a bright light to us all.
You're welcome.